Tropical Storm Bonnie has developed in the Caribbean Sea. Good day, I'm Mike Naso with the latest tropical update. We finally got a name out of the potential tropical cyclone we've been watching in the Caribbean, and you can see it blowing up there. It is now Tropical Storm Bonnie. Now here's the latest as of 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Bonnie. It was at 11.2 north, 81.0 west. Winds were 40 miles per hour, still moving west at 20. The pressure's down to 1,005 millibars. It had been way up at about 1,010, 1,009 for several days. But the aircraft flying out there, satellite, everything confirms that it finally has a low-level circulation. Now you can see the track here through time is going to make landfall later tonight in areas there in either extreme southern Nicaragua or extreme northern Costa Rica, and probably maintain tropical storm strength across, in which case it'll stay Bonnie. And then it'll continue west-northwest south of the Mexican coastline, becoming a hurricane by midweek. So by Wednesday, we could have a decent hurricane off the coast of Mexico, but on the other side, moving away from land, the only thing would be high swells there, and the potential, if it took the north end of this track, to get a little close, too close for comfort to the coastline. But right now, we don't think that's going to take place. We do have tropical storm warnings out. The hurricane watches have all been dropped. It doesn't look like it's going to have time to become a hurricane. If it had another day or so, it absolutely would. We do have a tropical storm warning from San Andres, Colombia, as well as Limon, Costa Rica, northward to Sandy Bay, Sirpi, Nicaragua, and from Cabo Blanco, Costa Rica, northward to the border of Honduras and Nicaragua, with the expectation of these tropical storm winds going right on across areas there of San Andreas and Nicaragua, Costa Rica. Here's a beautiful visible satellite imagery, the true color imagery, and you can see this little island here. That's San Andreas, the part of Colombia, beautiful tropical island, and you can see it right in here. And then we have Providencia up here to the north, and then these are the Corn Islands here right off the coast. So there's a lot of little tropical islands with some populations there, and they're right in the path of Bonnie. But thankfully it's not a hurricane or strong hurricane like we thought a few days ago, and so you should be okay once it blows on through. There's the coastline there of Nicaragua and Costa Rica, and you can see heavy weather right offshore, so definitely not a time to be out over the water if you're a mariner, and we're going to watch this as it moves on in. Taking a look at the Costa Rican radar, you can see that even better. We have some good squalls coming in here to Nicaragua, areas there of the north of San Jose, and you can see most of it offshore. The center appears to be somewhere in here. I'm not seeing, as kind of a crude radar, I'm not seeing any signs of an eye wall or anything yet. Nevertheless, the National Hurricane Center thinks it could get 50, 65 miles an hour before landfall. These systems have a tendency to really crank up over these very hot, moist, tropical areas of the Caribbean Sea. So we're going to watch this as it moves on in. The key messages with Bonnie as of 11 a.m. Eastern Time Friday. Number one, heavy rainfall, as I've mentioned for days. Nicaragua, Costa Rica, today into tomorrow. Areas of life-threatening flash flooding and mudslides. Even though it's moving quickly, it could still dump copious amounts of rain, especially in higher terrains. Number two, tropical storm conditions on that island San Andreas today, and then Costa Rica and Nicaragua within that tropical storm warning area, and then along the Pacific side early tomorrow. So it's going to move on across with those tropical storm winds and then glide south of Mexico in the eastern Pacific Ocean. Now, as far as where we're at July 1st, we are right here. And you can see since 1944 to 2020, the red are hurricanes and tropical storms, the yellow is hurricanes. You can see we have a long way to go before we reach the peak. A long way. And typically July is a very quiet month, and some of the long-range models don't show much for the next week or two, so it might be a bit of a lull. But remember, things can really heat up after August 1st. I remember in 2004, one of the worst hurricane seasons of all time, we didn't get our A storm until July 31st. And by August 13th, we had a Category 4 Hurricane Charlie hitting Florida. And then by September, we had Ivan, and it was just a disastrous year. September 10th is the climatological peak, and right now we're on July 1st, so we have a long way to go before we even get that late August surge. So we're going to watch the tropics carefully. You can see in July, what do we normally look for development? Usually the named storms happen down here in the area we had Bonnie develop. Sometimes they don't make it though. Other times it's off the east coast. If a front moves off the water and kind of moves off to the northeast, that's usually an area. And our system that we watched almost develop near Texas, same type of deal. So those are the areas for July we're going to watch. It's still kind of early for off Africa here, but come August, we could really get cranking. You can see, taking a look at the entire Atlantic, there's our tropical storm Bonnie, looking very impressive, strengthening. Probably doesn't have time to become a hurricane, but nevertheless it will probably be one in the Pacific as it moves on out. Another good wave flaring up here we've been watching approaching the islands. Other than that, some troughiness off the east coast and our area near Texas. It should, keyword should, quiet down once we get Bonnie out of here. But until then, I'm Mike Nasa with the latest on the tropics. Hunker down if you're in Nicaragua and Costa Rica. It's going to be a stormy night as Tropical Storm Bonnie moves on through.